Alright, what is going on, guys? Pavel's back again, and the Soldex finally updated the site, and as you see here, Revelation Summons is finally up there. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, these banners aren't really worth talking about. Orihime is a good character, but I don't think she's worth going for, considering that Tensa is the thing now. So, first and foremost, Isshin, Tensa, Zangetsu, as well as Ichigo, all these characters, in my opinion, are really good. But one thing to note is that these characters, at the end of the day, are a premium pool banner. You can pull them from premium tickets, you can pull them from Brave Soul tickets. Probably not going to get them from premium tickets, but you get what I mean. So these characters are going to start showing up from the point event 5-star ticket, so keep that in mind. If y'all want to farm out the 5-star ticket, you might actually pull these. Keep in mind the rate's obviously going to be incredibly low, but I mean, it is what it is. So let's just quickly go into what's actually here on this banner. And honestly, there's not really much worth talking about, in my opinion, besides the actual characters themselves, and maybe Kagarosa, which we'll talk about in a bit. And then I'll slowly skim over, I believe it's just the Ruruka. Oko? Okay, we'll talk about the Oko for like literally 10 seconds. So going into Tensa, he is going to be the final farming cycle character for the rotation that we currently have. Power Droplet drops, as well as Power Link Slot Potions and Power Super Link Slot Potions. Next, he also has a lot of damaging multipliers, which is really good. So even though he doesn't have any status elements, this character doesn't need it because he already has Hit Hidden Enemies and Pierce Iron Skin as a skill. He has Guard Break already as well, so even though he doesn't have Marauder, he at least has Guard Break, which means that for almost all content in the game, like 95% of it, he should be pretty damn good. He has a Berserker of 60% to go along with his Frenzy +1, and then he also gets double damage if the enemies aren't afflicted with a status element, which is very easy to do since he doesn't have any status elements. He also gets melee damage plus 10%, which turns into 30% if it's a co-op quest, so content like Epic Raids, he's going to be dealing 30% damage. Now keep in mind, this is melee damage. I'm not quite sure if his Soul Bomb will get triggered to do more damage in co-op quests, since it's not really considered melee or range. I don't really know exactly how that works, but damage to an enemy is not afflicted by an ailment is very interesting, because if you have a character with Frenzy +1, you have +1 hit, right? Then you get plus 100% damage, that doubles, right? So you have 2 hits, now it becomes the damage of 4 hits. So it's the equivalent of Frenzy +3. I see a lot of people saying it's Frenzy +3. I see Frenzy +6, and it's no, it's like Frenzy +3 damage. And then you also get the Berserker 60%. Then you can also give him full stamina damage boost from his T15 skill, and then he already has like all the farming stuff. So you're gonna use him in Epic Raids, Inheritance Trial, Inheritance Zone, Droplet Trial. Like, this character is just going to be naturally good, which I think is really, really good, considering that this character also has an excellent kit in terms of his strong attacks, right? You have the 3000 length beam, the 960 AoE distant AoE that's in front, and then has a little bit of back range, which is really good. And then his third strong attack is a standard full screen third strong attack. I really like this character. I think he's actually quite incredible. I still got to work on mine. Mine's still not fully leveled up yet. Next, we have Isshin. Isshin is going to be the Brave Battle unit, and he's also going to be the first character in the last like 3 to 4 PvP characters to actually have Brave Battle temporary invincibility. K-Lab's bringing this back, in my opinion, because right now the meta is just completely dominated by SP units, or people run, I actually like the balance, because people run SP units to defeat the characters who have Pierce invincibility but don't have invincibility, and then you have the people using invincibility characters to destroy the SP based teams. So you have like this weird circle, of invincible with Pierce invincibility beats invincibility that can't beat Pierce invincibility, because they don't have Pierce invincibility, but they can beat the SP units, and then the SP units beat on the characters that don't have invincibility but can beat the characters that have invincibility. But it's funny. It's like a triangle, and I actually like that a little more, because it means that you can be on one side of the triangle without having to worry about being every triangle, right? Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I think that this character will be good for the meta in general. He has Lacerate, which could help lock down SP based units as well, considering he has the invincibility. He has decreased damage taken 50%, so even if the 10 seconds starts popping off, he has some damage reduction. Prevents Last Ditch, prevents healing, and then he also has Ignore Brave Battle invincibility himself, so he falls into that triangle of we're invincible and we have Pierce invincibility. Actually, no, he's starting his own triangle, huh? Because the only other character that has invincibility with Pierce invincibility, I think, is Yamamoto. that's recent. Yeah, I think that's the most recent character with invincibility and pierce invincibility, and that was what, 6th anniversary, so it's been almost a year and a half. Yamamoto's a year and a half old! Holy crap! Wow, okay. Bruiser 50%, Flurry +2, he has built-in guard break, he has long reach +20% through his soul tree, right? Yeah, there you go. And just he has a good nat string, because he has the range for it, which is good. I like him. I actually think he's really good. Next, we have Ichigo. I'm going to try to keep it brief with these characters so that way we can move on to the rest of the banners. Now, whether or not you should summon really is going to rely on whether or not you have the orb resources to even merit summoning on these banners. I think that 5 steps is a good amount if you want to summon, just because I think that all these banner characters in particular are really good. Going into the Ichigo, we have Frenzy +2. We have a status ailment Spiritual Pressure +80%. So if you hit a status ailment, which is very easy to do considering that he has Disabler with +10% if the enemies are speedy. He also has Weaken and Drain, which the enemies can be immune to Drain, but we've never seen them immune to Weaken, unless like they're completely immune in content like Senkaimon. But like you still have Frenzy +2 to rely on, you have Berserker 40%, and you have Character Strong Attack Damage +20%. Then he also has full stamina damage boost built into him, so that's going to go up to 45% when you give him full stam, 25% from the T15 skill. He has Sprinter +2, he has Havoc, and then on top of that, between waves, like between rooms, he gets the strong attack recharge 20% to his entire party, which I think that this skill alone is just really, really, really strong, because even in single player content, that means that you can bring out your other characters, use their strong attacks, and then when you go to the next room with this character in particular, they get a strong attack cooldown of 20%. That's going to be nice if you're running characters like boosters and stuff like that. If you're new to the game, you're probably feeling like the effects of like, oh, IT Ultra's pretty difficult, this does pretty difficult, because you don't really have like the accessories, the links, and all that. But like being able to bring a booster and then have their cooldown reduced from this Ichigo, I can see a lot of people clearing more content than they normally would, which I think is really dope. So yeah, there's that. So I actually really like this Ichigo a lot. We have Devastation 40% with the Weakening, with the SP boost, and then on top of that, he also has Sharpshooter. I feel like they just kind of threw the book at him. Now he has Hollow and Human Killer, which Human Killer is kind of but like the fact that this character can destroy any type of human killer content that you might struggle with, because he's also tech, right? Like tech Orihime, tech New Year's Mayuri, like these characters are pretty bad to play with just in general. So this character taking over, in my opinion, is pretty good. Then you have his 18% magnification for a strong attack, very easy to proc your status elements with that. 3000 length beam for his second strong attack, has some good width on it as well thanks to the Havoc, and then full screen third strong attack. Just really, 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 really good character. Next, talking about some of the other characters that are worth talking about. Kagarosa, no affiliation killer. He has normal attack damage 20%, so he has a bruiser of 80% with flurry +1. Then he has range damage +10% after the match starts, and then speed attribute character normal attack damage +20%. Stacking that with full stamina damage boost could be really good. And on top of that, in Guild Quest, he actually has range damage +30% in Guild Quest, and then killer effect +50% in Guild Quest. So in no affiliation week for Guild Quest, he's actually really, 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 really good. He does not have Sharpshooter, but he doesn't really need it, because in melee no affiliation Guild Quest as well, they actually don't have nullify range damage. They just have you deal more damage if you're a range character. So I do actually like that. They do have more melee damage, so he doesn't get the double damage, but he's still going to be a really good character for that. Next, for Ruka, speed droplet drop 30%. She's just a good NAD character. That's pretty much all there really is to say about her. Next, Oko. He's an okay Brave Battle character. He's a good Captain Killer counter. He doesn't have Pierce Invincibility, which kind of sucks, and he doesn't have Invincibility himself, which that honestly is the reason that I don't think that this character is all that great anymore, because during the time that Caleb was nullifying Invincibility in general, this character was actually pretty good, because you also had counter attack plus 150%. You had a dodge captain damage, which a lot of the enemies that you were fighting in Brave Battles in particular were dodge, right? Were captains, because you had Yamamoto, you had Kurashiki, you had Mind Safui Kenpachi. So you actually could make really good use of this, but he's falling off now just thanks to the release of Chad, thanks to the release of this Ishin, who's actually not a captain as well. So yeah, kind of fallen off, which is kind of unfortunate, which is why I'm upset that he's even on the banner. Going into the actual individual banners on whether or not you should summon on them, honestly, you have some pretty good value here. You have this Gin, Captain Killer Gin, which boom boom, is good for Guild Quest. Killer effect plus 50% in GQ, range damage plus 30% in GQ. I wouldn't really go too crazy on this. The Soifon's not really too worth talking about. She's more of an arena character. Like if you go to the arena, you'll see here she picks up Havoc, but at level 10. Frenzy plus 1, star power up item plus 2, which is pretty good. But like this character, you have Bruiser 40%, Flareon plus 1, and then you have all the Guild Quest modifiers. Poison on his skills. I actually like this character. He does very, very well for me in GQ in particular. In his soul tree, you have damage to poison enemies plus 20%, guard break, so he's actually useful in regular PvE content as well. Next, going into the Ishin's individual banner, he actually has Lisa, which I think that alone is worth doing the first step if you're missing both Ishin and Lisa. Keep in mind, the characters that I'm talking about right now, including the Soifon, including this Gin, including the Lisa, these are all premium pool characters. You can and will probably pull them if you're playing actively over the course of like the next year, to be honest. Mind, character, attribute, strong attack damage plus 20%, so you get some more damage to your whole squad there. Berserker plus 40%, Frenzy plus 1, Spiritual Pressure boost plus 80%, and then she also has Disabler, and then she also has 2 status elements, which is really good for content like IT, because you have Paralysis and Lacerate to fall back on. I actually really like this character a lot. If the enemies can be lacerated, you have damage to lacerated enemies plus 40%. Sorry about that, needed a cough, and maybe I just needed a drink. Either way, so damage to lacerated enemies plus 40%. This will stack with her Soul Bomb, Devastation 40%. So I actually do like this character a lot. She's actually really fun to play with, and she also has Sprinter plus 1. Do you not have Long Stride? I don't know why I remember her having Long Stride for some reason. Either way, really good character. Actually, she doesn't have a crazy good strong attack kit, but it's honestly fine. Then going into the actual Ichigo banner, and this is why I want to say be very careful about summoning. Honestly, none of these characters are really worth talking about too much. I will bring up these 2 characters because I think they're actually worth bringing up a little bit. You'll see here, this Toshiro has Mind Droplet drop 30%. You're not really going to play with this character unless you are a really big Toshiro fan, but you're mainly going to use him for that Mind Droplet drop 30% link. Putting this on a character like Kaname gives you more droplets, gives you 60% extra droplets. So getting these droplet drop 30% links can be pretty damn good. Next we have Kaname, who also has Technique Droplet drop 30%. So if you need these droplet bonuses, that'll be good. Just keep in mind that KLab literally just announced, oops, let me do this. KLab literally just announced that they're going to adjust the amount of items needed to power up your soul tree, and then on top of that we have adding a quest where you can obtain several different materials such as droplets and link slot potions. So we don't know if droplet drop is going to be really necessary, or even potions in the grand scheme of things, which is why it's important to get these, in my opinion, why it's important to get these, where are you? These farming cycle characters with like Tensa and all that, just because these characters provide really good value for your time investment in the game. Let's be real here, even though it's fun playing your favorite character for 10 runs, eventually falls off and you get kind of bored. Would you rather play that character 10 times, or would you rather play that character 2 times for the same amount of drops, right? So that's where my mentality comes in for like farming. I actually want these farming cycle characters, not because I think that they're all that great, even though some of them are, like this Tensa for example, but they just save you time. And when it comes to these gacha games which are literally designed to be time sinks, that's very important to me. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it at that. Whether or not you should summon on this banner, be very careful about it. I'd say toss in 5 steps if you really like the characters. Toss in 6 if you feel like you got cucked but you want to do one more. I wouldn't go to step 10. I wouldn't recommend it unless you have a lot of orb sources or you're a whale, right? But I'm gonna leave it at that. Stay blessed, y'all. We'll see y'all next one. Peace.